The Sarcastic Enchantress, Part 6. Kangaroos, not just a legend anymore. Next morning, as Boris was sitting alone, a bro came. Arch dude looking fab on the throne, getting down with the crown and the ring and the bling, chilling out in a snuggie that's fit for a king. Now dig this flash, we cut the jungle for logs, launch a hip footwear fad of these rad wooden clogs. But Boris asked, why pester me, you young fool? What you see this beard and assume I should rule? Look, just 'cause we live in the ages of dark doesn't mean I must play some cliché patriarch. The bro said, Irina can't jive with my plan. She's wiggity whack. You're a hip modern man. He answered, she turned down your pitch? No means no. Take your sexist remarks, trendy jargon, and go. Apologize. If she accepts, you'll be flogged. But badmouth my daughter again, you'll get clogged. Irina came later. I heard that you spoke with the clogger just now. He was sorry and soaked. You really won't try to take over the business? Forget it, he said. Commerce, that's a hard mistress. The discipline, all paperwork and no play, I'd sooner return to the whip and the sleigh. She said, you make it sound like some kind of captivity. I'm not tied down. I'm a captain of industry. Hey, he said, I think it's great what you do. Taking care of all this, does it take care of you? Because life is too short to be spent in transactions, and life is too long if it's lacking in passion. She went off to meditate in her home gym, lifting weights, rollerblading, and taking a swim. Then she heated some stones, poured cold water for steam, and leaned back, closed her eyes, saw a dim, misty scene. In the woods, eating sandwiches when she was 6, as her parents relaxed, Olga practiced her tricks. And Irina said, please make these bees chimpanzees. They'll build us a towering dream house of feces. But Olga kept playing tea party with lions. Irina cried, Mommy, she's not even trying. Polina replied, just be glad that she's happy, not sullenly trapped in your castle of crap. Irina awoke and took Olga aside. So the end of the fun, you become some dull bride with the knitting and baking and making of brats? Olga grinned. Well, it's that, or get 26 cats. But I don't see why marriage must be such a bore. There are areas I'm curious to explore. I want to make breakfasts and babies and tapestries, just like you love micromanaging factories. On a cold, jagged gravel bed, Ivan slept late and awoke to see Olga arrive with a plate. Well, it took a few tries, but I'm learning to bake. First you fire the ceramic and then add the steak. Ivan smiled. Plate of food. It's confusing, I know. But I learned some by watching my parents. I'll show you. What happened to them? Olga asked. They fixed shoes, but the market got flooded with footwear, brand new. We were starving. They had only one option left, leaving me for adoption and hang gliding west. Come on. And she led him by hand while they spoke, through the jungle's thick brush to the spring near the oak, where she shaved his rough beard and they rinsed off their clothes. Olga smiled. The day's open. What might you propose? I can help you to deal with the snakes in your basement. She winked. That sounds nice for a midday engagement. He said, I'm surprised you could live with that hissin'. So what's your, she winked again, proposition? He said, look, it's clear that you're feeling rhetorical, but those deep serpents are not metaphorical. No, she sighed. Last month the country was plagued with evangelists blessing the peasants who paid, but neglecting the destitute, worse, threatening curses. So I figured, snakes. They deserve to be purses. Disguise me. A prince, he said. They won't attack. Good idea, she chimed, but if I turn them back, they'll relapse to their racket of doctrinal crime. So they pondered a while, then exclaimed the same time, we'll ship them to Florida, free them in nature so they can win seats in the state legislature. As Boris sat mending a pair of old shoes, he plucked on the laces, a tune of the blues. Well, I woke up this morning, got up off the floor. Since my woman left, who needs a bed anymore? Then Ivan came in, same old song, she done wrong, and you really still can't understand why she's gone? She changed. Boris sighed. Yeah, you've said that before, Ivan answered. It's strange that you'd whip a dead horse, but you of all people should know from footwear, as one changes, the other adapts. That's a pair. Boris answered, that day in the woods, what a feeling. I met her at noon. We were married that evening. I asked her to leave with me. She said we'd stay, and I didn't want discord to wreck our first day. I tried to adjust, played that harp of pure gold, but the strings bled my fingers, the tune sharp and cold. And we never quite dealt when our son swam away. Hey, don't judge me, kid. You'll understand it someday. Ivan said, "Don't project your defects onto me. That's you and your marital PTSD. Now your kids are unhinged, there's a curse on the city, and you're bound for Moo Land drunk on self-pity. This ring any bells?" Placed a dome on his head and rang it so hard that his black beard turned red. Boris wrestled him down, said, "You're under arrest. Maybe 5 years in Fresno will teach you a lesson." When Olga asked Boris, "Was Ivan in here?" he nodded. "Yeah, he'll be right back in 5 years." She dashed to the gate as they dragged him away, said, "Hey, wait, wow, some wacky weather today." He sighed, "Look, what you've got to say it now." She stammered, "A dream, I don't know what about. 2 wolves were devouring a snake." He said, "Yes." She said, "Don't interrupt till you've heard all the rest." He replied, "Look, this dream's not an iceberg in depth. It's a marriage proposal, and yes, I accept. I think I can fulfill your unusual needs, but I'm warning you, don't expect love to be easy." She said, "Same to you. I mean, yes, to the thing." And they heated the forges to cast some brass rings. So Olga and Ivan got married that day. Irina presided and gave her away. Were there any objections? And Boris said, nay. Then they camped for 2 weeks in the deep forest glade. Where he hunted, she gathered. They cooked camel stews, ate the mushrooms, and played like insane kangaroos. 9 moons brightly swelled. So did Olga's full tummy. Then Cora was born, with a gold scent of honey. The flowers bloomed purple, the bees built new hives, the people rejoiced and got on with their lives. Ivan at last learned to read, even write. Then he earned a degree and became a psychiatrist. Irina ran factories happily after for bottles and nipples and toy manufacture. As time passed and peasants wore holes in their shoes, Boris trained kangaroos. As time passed and peasants wore holes in their shoes, Boris trained kangaroos to repair them like new. One day they were gathered around the lunch table. While Ivan cooked, Cora stood up in her cradle. Said, "See, Grandpa Boris, your long painful past has some meaning at last as you bask in the magical sound of your family's laughter." And as for Polina, who left with that prince, well, that didn't last, but she's kept busy since, gallivanting abroad, righting wrongs as the pansy, a bold, aromatically strong vigilante, out rescuing damsels oppressed and distressed, then gallantly laughing and galloping west. In time, she'll return to her Boris and stay, but that's some other story for some other day.